What's going on, man? It's your boy Ray Rock, your favorite DJ, or somebody's favorite DJ. And I'm here with the one, the infamous Daniel Steele. Make some noise, everybody.
Yeah, yeah. How exactly am I infamous?
You are, bro. It's a lot of chatter, man. It's a lot of chatter. Daniel, how are you?
Man, I'm chilling. Staying safe in these Rona streets.
Screeks.
The streets.
Yeah, man. So tell me how, first of all, how has this situation affected you as a musician?
Oh, actually, okay, that's a loaded question because there's pros and cons to it.
I'm a loaded guy. Pause.
Pause. Pausa. Yeah, I'm so 12 years old. Anyway, it's there's pros and cons to this, how this has affected me as a musician. The con is our band was supposed to be doing a lot of things during this season, and all of that got canceled. So we couldn't spend time together as a band, which is disappointing because that's not only just musical time for us, but it's also a time of fellowship because some of us are in different parts of the country. So that's one of the parts that's a con of it. The pro is being stuck in your studio is not a bad thing for for musicians. It's just like,
you seen that meme that's been going around where it says producers quarantine before Rona and quarantine.
Yeah. I saw this meme today that made me crack up like crazy. It was, you ever seen that scene from Terminator where he's looking at his hand and it's like the robot hand, and it's like me after washing my hands a million times and it's just the robot hand. I found that so funny. I was like, bro, there's a lot of good things that's happening, and what's really good is that my wife is home with me, and that's beautiful for me because, man, usually she works at the office, but she's been working from home. So now it's something that's really special for me because I get to talk to her during the day when I'm home. You know what I'm saying? I can go right into the living room and be like, hey, how are you doing? Just have regular conversation with her, which is not something that I get to do all the time on a regular basis because I'm either working here or I'm on the road. So this quality time.
Speaking about your personal life, so we find out that you're married. I know you, but a lot of people don't. Yeah. So
because I don't be putting my business out there. You know what I'm saying?
So where are you from? I know where you're from. Tell us where you're from. Give us a little bit of your background as a musician. Go for it.
Man, so where am I from? So I'm from New York. I was born in Harlem. Grew up I actually lived in every single borough except Staten Island. So, I'm a New York kid, I'm a pastor's kid. I'm a PK, grew up going to Spanish church in Harlem on 125th Street. Tabernáculo de la Fe, what's up? And so my background is just, I'm a PK that's been playing music his whole life.
That's beautiful, man. So now that we know that, what is your weapons of choice right now? Like, you're stuck in a desert island, right? We're in Rona, and you could only take the only caveat is you could only take 4 things with you. Okay?
Oh, okay.
They take 4 things, right? And one of them can't be a laptop.
Okay. I already know.
Let's go.
I would take my MPC Live because it has a battery in it. I would take my iPad. What else? I would take a microphone and probably, actually a microphone and probably like my bass guitar.
Maybe headphones.
Yeah, headphones. Yeah, I guess headphones would be part of it, but of course, yeah, headphones. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking like the stuff that makes the music. So.
The core.
The core. So yeah, that's kind of like what I would do. Just because I none of those things require me to be on a computer,
Mm.
and it's all creative.
Yeah, man. So, speaking of hardware, when was the first time you touched an MPC? You know,
I had to be probably 12 years old.
ooh, and what setting was it? Like, because a lot of dudes that I know, they touched an MPC for the first time because that's what their church used to use for like a click to run like a church class, you know what I'm saying? One of those type of joints.
So the first time I yeah, it's gonna sound mad funny. Uh, a local drug dealer's house.
Go on.
He used to, me being a stupid kid, he used to see me coming out of school, headphones on, listening to music, and he realized that I just loved music. He was like, "Yo, come here, I want to show you something." And maybe he was trying to sell me some crack, but I don't know. But it ended up, he was like, "Yo, you like music?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yo, let me show you something." And his brother was like, "Yo, check this out." Took me inside, and he had a apartment full of music gear. Because other than hustling, he loved making music, and he had an MPC 2000 XL sitting there, and that was the first time that I laid my eyes on it, and then like learned to sequence on it, and then I used to play drums for a choir in Jersey City, and the drummer had an MPC that he was running click tracks off of.
Yep.
He let me hold that joint, and I just started making beats. So those are two different instances. But then fast forward like maybe 3 years, Todd Bangs, remember Todd Bangs?
Yeah, Trey Z first.
Trey D. So he had moved to Jersey City for a while, and him and his family was there, living there, and he had the MPC 3000. And I used to be in his house every single day, learning on the MPC 3000 and Steinberg Nuendo. So that was like my introduction to like sequencing in a linear form. So it's pretty wild when I think about it. I'm like, yo, Todd Bangs taught me how to use the MPC 3000.
Hey, man, listen,
That's pretty wild.
taught a lot of people a lot of stuff, I'm
Oh,
sure.
he's a legend. Like he's legendary status when it comes to like our genre. And I'm just like, I'm really grateful for just being surrounded by people that wanted to offer knowledge to me
Bro,
all
that's
the time.
beautiful. You know what's so crazy? I feel like there was a time, this is, off the record, but I wasn't thinking that I would speak on this, but there was a time where I feel like uh the older generation was very open to share with the younger generation.
Mhm.
And I feel like that died for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like there's very few people doing that now. Like I feel like you're one of those people that is always giving back to the younger cats. Teach you promote.
Yeah, that's shout out Carlos.
Carlos, and but I wish that there was more of that because I think that it would help this genre a lot more. Um,
Mm.
Going on to my next question, though.
Oh man,
My next question is,
good question, Ray.
what is your favorite? Like, all these things have something to do with music. Your background, your
Yeah.
choice of equipment that you would use in a deserted island. I believe that like we're a culmination of influences in our lives, right? So, like, hands down, your favorite comedy.
My favorite comedy?
Yeah, your favorite
Oh,
comedy.
snap.
You had to narrow it down to like three movies that you can watch on repeat forever.
Okay. So one movie would definitely be Coming to America,
Classic.
right? Second, it's not a movie, it's a series. It's Martin.
Definite. What's up?
Yeah, like just Martin, like that has to be just because the scenarios on that show are just ridiculous. And also Martin represents every man and his ego. So that's kind of why I just love Martin, just because I see myself in that character so much. Uh, what else? My number three, jeez, comedy, man. What makes me laugh? Well, stupid stuff makes me laugh. So I would probably say Ace Ventura.
Oh man, class one or two, because both of them are good. Like
Ooh.
one is the original with Dan Marino, and
Yeah, yo, Ray Finkel. Yeah, that joint, yo, that joint was crazy. No, what's the one that When Nature Calls, where he had Tommy Davidson in his backpack?
no, both of them are great. Both of them are great. But the second one, Chicago.
Chicago, Shawshank Redemption. Yeah, that's my jam right there, yo. Yeah, so stuff like that, and I think ultimately I picked those uh because of two things. They they had they're classic, and number two, nostalgia is on level 9,000 with those movies. When I think about my childhood, when I think about some of the best times in my life when I didn't have any responsibility, when I was a child, when I didn't have to pay rent, when I didn't have to provide for a wife, when all these things weren't an issue, those were kind of the things I remember watching Martin as a young adult, teenager. Like I remember watching Ace Ventura, going to the movies to see Ace Ventura. My dad took me to go see that. I remember just coming to America, watching it with my cousins living in Queens, on Jamaica Ave, watching Coming to America, and it being so nostalgic because you look at the neighborhood where I live in, and all this stuff was happening there. So that's why those movies kind of like resonate with me, not just on yo, this is mad funny, but it also resonates with me. It was like, yo, this is my childhood. And
Yeah.
that's where I make music from. I make music from a place of wonder and trying to tap into the joy of being a child.
Oh man, I love the fact that you answered the question that way because that's what I was coming next to is the idea that, like I said, we as people, we are not just what you see, but we're a culmination
Mhm.
of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're uh, we're a group of observations and relationships and synthesis. And with that being said, with your experience and with your success, before I even ask this question, can you tell everybody out there like who you've done music for, some of the success you had? I know that you don't really like toot your own horn like that, but I want to be able to give people um, resources from a viable source. So give me a
Uh, man, Jay Givens, everybody on Humble Beast, Propaganda, Lecrae, Andy Mineo, uh, geez, uh, it, so many. It's a lot of artists, man. Like even stuff that's not even genres. That King's Kaleidoscope. Can't forget my fam. Uh, you know, music to me is not about like who I'm doing music for, but helping kind of people achieve their own dreams. You know
Mm,
what I'm saying? It's like most people won't work with another person if they're not popular. And to me, that's irrelevant. I'm like, does this person have value? And is this of value to them? So therefore I'm willing to work on it because who are we to judge who's worth it?
man, that's amazing. So it's amazing and noble, but I'm sure you have a process of
Of course, of course.
right. So let's talk about that process.
Well, the major part of my process is relationship. I'm not just gonna hit somebody up, be like, yo, listen to my tracks. Because that's stupid. That's the same thing as a dude on the street hollering at a girl like, "Hey, girl, yo, you got a fat ass." No, that's not how you approach. That's not how you approach anyone. So relate, and that's the equivalent of what people are doing in DMs of like just sending people links and Yo, I be reading people's comments on IG, and all of a sudden there's a dude always trying to do graphic design, like for somebody. It's like, what the heck? Like, why are you here?
Tell me how we're on Instagram about COVID-19, right? And everybody's like, "Thank you so much for this information, Tara." And there's always somebody in the bottom that's like, "How would you like to earn $20 extra dollars?"
Oh my gosh, bro. But that's what it's like. So for me, it's based off a relationship. So, you know,
So
you
step one is relationship. Okay.
yeah.
So now, all right.
And when I say relationship, I mean real relationship.
Okay. So you become real relationship with somebody, right? You consider this person your friend.
Yeah.
Then
Because how are you gonna make music for somebody you don't care about?
it's true. It's true.
It's an emotional process.
It
They're
is.
writing a song about being molested as a kid,
Mm,
and you're just there like, oh, I can't wait to finish this beat and get paid.
man, man, I really, 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 really appreciate you talking, man, because there's not too many people who focus on the value um, that people give to each other and that magic. And so, like, I'm really grateful for that. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go on to my last and final question.
Oh no, it's gonna be like, what's your blood type?
No, my last and final question is, you released a beautiful body of work, and I want you to tell me what caused you to release that beat tape. Um, what was going through your mind, and like, because the last time I saw you release like a large beat tape of sorts like that was with, rest in peace, our dear friend DJ Effecto.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me about this.
Man, so the ups and the downs were that's what I named the beat tape. And it's funny, I don't know if you heard this one, but before that, I did a beat tape that I didn't release on Spotify called my Instagram beat tape, You Can't Sue Me edition. And on there I had a track called I Miss You But I'm Angry AF.
Mm,
Right? That's one of the joints that's on there. And that was the beginning of me kind of emotionally spiraling down, falling into a deep depression, falling into like this weird zone of like, man, I really miss my best friend right now. And I wish I could call him. But I can't. And it was a combination of missing my friend, being angry at God, not being happy with myself, all the things that I was feeling, right? Just feelings in general. Uh, so that was the beginning of that, right? So that's November 2019, that I decided to make a beat a day and post it every night on IG, just release the songs on IG. And my headspace was in this place where I was like, all right, God, I'm going to commit to putting out music. Because I think prior to that, Andy was in my house and he was just like, yo, when you going to put out music? And I was like, I don't know. I'm working on something, but I always had this fear of putting out my own stuff. I never had fear about hiding behind someone else's music. That's why I'm a producer. But my own voice was kind of hard to like deliver stuff until, certain circumstances in my life, personal things that I was dealing with caused me to face myself. And that's when the concept of the ups and downs came, where it was just like, well, life is full of ups and downs, but both of those things make you appreciate the other.
mm,
So when I think about tracks on ups and downs, that first track, Inner Space, you know,
oof,
talks. It's just me getting into the zone of traveling into myself. You know
mm,
what I'm saying? Like that's like, all right, I'm gonna sit down and we're gonna get to a place where I'm traveling into myself and I'm gonna start assessing what's really happening with me and really like asking God questions and all the stuff that that we all deal with. So that's that. Then just joint cloudy days, sunshine. Talked about, it's about depression,
Yo,
but it's also about like, getting out of it. Like this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for sunshine, you know. So yeah, all these track 20 days later,
hey,
20
like, I can name like 100 tracks on this, but my favorite record, I don't know what it does to me, but like VBS slash self care.
Oh my gosh, bro. Yeah. Do you know
What
what that
was going?
what that's about?
What? I know Vacation Bible School is
Yeah. That's what it's about because I was thinking about what was one of the most happiest moments of my life. Right? What was a moment where I knew God was fully in control and loved me 100%. And
Mm,
it's when I was like dancing up and down crazy in VBS when I was a little kid. No care in the world. I just knew that Jesus loved me 100%. And then I got to go finger paint about it.
man, stay right there, man. I want to hear more about this because what do you think? What do you think that are the things that have competed for that level of awareness, right? This awareness, because I love how you called it VBS slash self care, and now hearing this, it kind of makes a lot more sense. So, what do you think are the things that like compete for this self care or the compete for this understanding that like um, that the truest joy is being a child of God.
Well, a lot of it has to do with when you're a kid, you don't even care when I say kid, I mean like pre 12 years old.
Mm,
You don't care about being cool. You're wearing whatever your parents give you. You're eating what your parents give you. You're happy when they buy you gifts. You're not complaining about stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's just like when you're a little kid, it's literally a hand, like God's hand to bird's mouth.
yep.
And I realized that once I started to feel like I was responsible for my own life is when the burdens of life started to weigh on me. And I was just like, man, I want to go back to where I was as a little kid, where I completely trusted that my life was in God's hands.
Mm,
Like now that I'm working and I'm providing and I'm working really hard, a lot of that burden is on my shoulders. And what I've been doing is I've been taking it off of my shoulders. And I'm like, all right, God, I trust you. You're going to get me through this. You're going to get my family through this, you know? And that's what helped me, man. And I'm one of those dudes that I got to sing about it. Like when I feel something, I got to, like, I don't know if you noticed, my beat tape, I be singing all over this joint.
yeah, yeah,
Because for me, while I'm making beats, I'm singing, I'm playing keys, I'm rejoicing, I'm a verbal processor.
yeah. And I hate using this word because it gets I don't know, it sounds very Christianese, but for me it's about a posture. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
you're literally you want to sing out, your feeling to God. You know,
Hmm.
you want to bear yourself open. You want to bleed out, and it doesn't matter. Uh, it's like this reckless abandonment that happens in singing that I don't think happens. I don't see it happening with too many other instruments. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
Well, no other instrument requires your body to actually be doing the work.
yeah, and there's something about your body. I've seen other instruments like people play the sax, like
Mhm.
and a lot of wind instruments where but where it's your voice and your breath,
Yeah.
and there's something powerful about that, and that's why like I always feel like it's the biggest distraction to our spiritual life, not to open up our mouths, right?
Yeah.
Use the breath that God's given us uh, to sing, to talk to people about our problems. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
Yeah.
Even just to use our breath, right? Um, Use our words, open up about it. There's that verse in the Bible that says like, "Let everything that has breath praise God."
Yeah.
And for me, I think that's like the biggest for me device against my life,
Hmm.
against like from the devil. I know it's not popular,
Yeah.
devil, but it's the facts. That I know that when I'm shut, it's when I'm doing bad.
Yeah.
You
When
know.
I'm not, yeah, when I'm not talking is when is okay. So you just brought up something really, really important. My music is also a way of me confessing my faults to one another.
Mm,
So that my brother, because I do have a hard time talking, you know, so I feel like, well, I know I could be really honest with music in the background. So let me just let my friends and family know how I'm doing with
man,
my music, that way.
what honest thing were you trying to convey when you were saying, um, "I love you this much"?
Oh, that's my wife. It's because in the midst of me being a depressed mess during the ups and downs, my wife was 100% supportive of me, and she would constantly be praying for me and be taking care of me and just being my rock. So in the middle of this whole record, I just wanted her to know, like, hey, I love you this much in the middle of this whole record. Like
Beautiful.
while I'm dealing with everything, and then right after that is right before that is I'm always in a rush to get home. You know? So it's almost like, you know,
Know
it's
what that means?
yeah, it can mean a lot of things. You know what I'm saying?
No, no, no. We're talking about sex. No, I
Yeah.
just.
Estamos hablando del sexo.
Adios.
You
Oh,
know, that's basically, so the ups and downs is a snapshots of 18 days of feelings that I was processing.
bro, let
And
me.
that's how I built it in 18 days, by the
This
way.
whole album has done like, man, uh, you know, I was I was literally going through a couple of things myself, and periodically since December. And when your beat tape came out, the song "You Can Fly,"
Oh yeah,
that
that's the
song,
joint.
that song kept like, it kept like, every time I felt like I was veering away, it kept
Yeah,
snatching me back in. I love that song.
dude, that's the bro. I remember making that joint, being in my room by myself, and I remember God saying, "You might die if you jump off a cliff, but you got to try anyway." He's like, "Cause I'll catch you."
Man,
So
man,
yeah,
so I wanna make sure that I don't lose you in this conversation
I know you're good.
without giving the people uh, that follow me the things that they're really gonna want me to ask you, which
Yeah, okay, yeah. What do they want to know? What's up?
they're gonna want to know through. They're gonna know is like, hey, um, what are the things that I need to stay away from, right, when making music? So a lot of people are always telling people like, oh man, here's what you need to do,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Uh,
yes. First of all, stay away from that.
huh?
First of all, stay away from those people that keep telling you what you need to do.
Right. So the first one is to stay away from people that tell you what you need to do, right?
Yeah,
On a practical level, right? Uh,
yeah.
so for example, oftentimes I get people who are frustrated with the idea of not coming to their own sound yet and feeling like they have to do something that's a carbon copy or something that's very familiar, when their real desire is to push the boundaries of music a little bit, and they feel like they haven't
Ooh.
Either it's too out there to be appreciated. Like this is things that people tell me, man,
Yeah.
my music is too out there to be appreciated. And so I do want to do this for a living, right?
Hmm.
And I've had some success. And but I feel like every time I make music for the person that is gonna buy the music, it's like I have to do music um that is familiar. It's too familiar for me, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
like where's the balance? So, what would you say to those things? Or if you had
Wow.
3 tips to give out, go for
Okay. So I guess I can answer them all with one thing.
it. Okay.
Um, First of all, don't try to win over someone else's fan base. Like just because Andy Mineo has a crazy fan base doesn't mean that that's your fan base. You are living a different life. You have a different circumstances, and there's people that resonate with who you are. Don't go after someone else's fan base. It's the first thing I would tell you. Like, learn who you are. But then that's tricky because I don't want to say most, a lot of artists don't even know who they are
Mm,
because they've spent all this time emulating someone else.
yeah.
I listen to a lot of producers. I'm like, oh, that sounds like DJ Premier. Yeah, because that's my favorite producer. I'm sorry, you're just a horrible DJ Premier clone
Yeah.
yourself. So there's you have to take time to sit back and realize who you are and what are the things that make you tick. What are the things that satisfy your musical taste and palate, and those are the things that are going to help you start to determine what your sound is. Because man, I really love music. Like I really love music, and what determines what my sound is what I'm in love with. I'm not in love with Drake vibes or any of these other things. I'm in love with communicating with humans. So what I do is I figure out, well, what do I have to learn in order to communicate with humans? Language. That's what I have to learn. So now I'm like, well, how can I learn more musical language? Study theory, study things that are going to feed my vocabulary musically. That's why I can go play rock and roll with King's Kaleidoscope. I can go play, do hip hop stuff, and not just like regular sounding hip hop stuff, deep, dirty, grimy, like hip hop sounding stuff. You know, I can go play with a salsa band because what I've been practicing is technique and communication so that I can communicate music and human emotion towards people. Because that's what music is about. It's not about what style you're doing.
Mm,
That's why Kanye's so dope
mm,
because he's studying what drives people, not necessarily the techniques behind it.
mm.
And he goes finds the dudes that know the technique and makes it happen. So it's really interesting.
No, man, I appreciate your words of wisdom. The idea of not chasing somebody else's fan base and to allow love to do what love does, which is love on more love, right? Find
Yeah,
others to love and other things to love. Um, man,
but also technique is important though.
oh yeah, the technique,
Yeah,
technique. So that'll be the third thing is the technique. Taking the time to learn some theory, right?
yeah,
I always feel like music comes from 2 places, and one place is I call it, for all you Christian guys, please don't mess. I call it spirit, right? And what I mean is not like a spirit. Maybe it is. I don't know. Don't. I'll make sure. I don't care what you guys think. But anyway, I really don't give a crap. I believe that people learn music 2 ways, either from a place of spirit or intellect. You get,
yeah,
and I believe that eventually, if you want to be great at anything, whether you start at the place of intellect or start at the
hmm
spirit, you will have to come to the other side one
Yeah,
way,
you need balance.
right? Because if not, you'll be stuck. You'll hit a ceiling within that way of learning.
Hmm.
So if we can break down what spirit and intellect is, intellect would be like, hey, I've been playing the piano since I was 3, and I'm learning other people's songs. And the more songs
Hmm.
I learn, the more scales I learn, the more chords
Yeah.
I learn,
Hmm.
and people are going to rate me on how well I can imitate, Bach or a romantic piece, of a Vivaldi piece, a Beethoven piece, whatever, and how well I can mimic that and make it sound uh,
Yeah.
close, almost identical to the original, because that's how we learn. And then you get the freedom eventually, where your teacher says, "Okay, with all the chords that you learned and all the different styles that you learned, put together your own song." That's one way.
Hmm.
Then the spirit of learning, right? The spirit of learning is basically, you might not have the resources or the funding to get a formal education on music, right? But you love music so much that you collect music, you collect vinyls, you're a playlist person,
Yeah.
you buy an MPC, you buy a keyboard, and you try to listen. And from listening, you try to put together playing music. It causes you to play by ear, or it
Yeah.
causes you to put together samples in a way that musically has been inspired. Eventually, the guy who learns an intellect needs to find his soul in the
Yeah.
spirit side. The
Yeah.
guy who has that spirit needs to find you know the purpose in breaking the rules. The purpose, because you got to know the rules in order to break them.
Yeah.
So you have to know the purpose in breaking the rules by learning the rules and going on that side, right? So that's why when Kanye West, when he plays a sample that it sounds like it's random, right? And oftentimes they're not random. He actually
Nah, yeah.
he chooses to use samples like a circle of fifths,
Hmm.
and says, "Okay, I'm gonna go and take it to this place emotionally, musically."
Yeah.
What do you have to say to that spirit and intellect? That's just my little theory.
No, well, the way that I would explain that is, um, a lot of people are great at doing stuff, but they don't necessarily know how to explain it. It's like, yo, show me how to do that thing. I can't. That's the whole point. What I've worked on for a very long time is um being able to teach what I know. Because what good is it for me to know something if I can't pass it on? You know what good is it for me to be super dope at production and all this stuff if I can't turn around and teach somebody? Like, what's the point? At the end of the day, what good was it for me to know all this stuff and hoard it all to myself? So for me, I've tried to uh when it comes to intellect and spirit for me is my love for knowing the ins and outs of sound. Like, to me, that's spiritual for me. When I sit down at the modular and I start patching and I start creating things and start figuring out how these sounds make me feel.
So the spirit for you is the thing that drives you to do that.
Yeah, yeah. And the intellect is me having mentors that teach me about synthesis and teach me what control voltage is and teach me what, you know, how acoustic design works and how that affects your ears and how all the stuff that's the math behind music.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the intellect is the math, you know what I'm saying, and the spirit is the art, the math,
Yeah.
intellect is the math and science.
Well, also we see the difference. Well, we see this happen a lot with certain genres of music. You look at the jazz artists, and then you look at the classical musicians. Both of them are studying the same theory, but only one of them has opportunity to improvise.
That's right.
So the jazz guy literally has to go up on stage and make up everything that he's playing based on the math that he's learned,
Hmm.
right? But the classical guy is always reading from a piece of paper, so he never gets to express his soul.
Yeah.
He's reading some other guy's soul expression.
Yep.
So they both know the same math, but the opportunity that comes from one or the other is based on context.
Yeah, it's based on context and it's different situations
Hmm.
they're in because if the classical guy is playing somebody else's piece, there's no soul in it, right? Because he has to actually find himself. It's kind of like an actor. He has to find
Yeah,
a
yeah,
place emotionally that connects to the role that he's playing, right?
yeah,
And then it becomes the performance is what's soulful, but
yes.
not the way the notes land, right? Because
Hmm.
notes land in jazz, that's where the art of improvisation is. And I think it's kind of beautiful because both things you see, like I hate the idea of dualism, like the idea that the spirit is great, like the spirit is great and the body's bad or the
Yeah,
intellect is bad. And the reason why I look up to your music and to who you are is because I feel like you embody both things, both spirit and intellect. Because there is something spiritual about sitting and playing next to another musician and feeling the way that they breathe and playing with them. No click,
mhm,
you know,
yeah,
you're fo-
yeah.
you're following someone else and you're breathing together.
That's that symbiosis. That's something that God gave us that we can't explain.
That's right. And then in jazz, the idea the idea of now you're breathing together, but now the paper, the notes, the it's been broken,
Hmm.
and the boundaries have been pushed around. It's
Yeah.
like getting the it's like taking it's like having like you ever watch like these movies where people have superpowers and stuff like that. It's
Hmm.
it's like having the power to turn any piece of furniture into another piece of furniture with the same pieces you have. You know
That's
what
the.
I'm saying?
I would actually love that because I
I would
know.
love that power, right? Like take a car and turn it into a motorcycle. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
you know, but man, I could talk to you about this, like about this.
yeah. We could literally talk about this for days, bro. Because
We
it's.
already do. We already do. We already have that relationship. I just want to be able to have people who might not know you, might stumble upon my page, where they can find you, where they can listen to your music. He has amazing sample packs.
Yeah.
Yes, tell them all about that.
So first of all, I think the best place to interact with me would probably be on IG. So you can find me at Daniel Steele Music at on IG. That's DanielSteele Music um, on IG. And if you want sounds and you need inspiration for what you do, we have a website called msxaudio.com. And whatever platform you're on, whether it's MPC, whether it's machine, whether it's you just need WAV files, we have content there for you. We have apps on the App Store for making music if you're on mobile. Uh, yeah, it's just great. But if you want, if you just want to talk or talk music ideas or figure out how to do something, I do offer lessons. I we all at home, so I got time. So, you know, this Rona. And I'm currently working on some new music that is during this season of quarantine that's going to be specifically for people that are hopeless. So I'm really, yeah, just really gearing up for that. And yeah, and keep listening to Ray Castro over here because
Yo yo yo, hey yo hey yo yo.
ese tipo está loco.
Yo, so it's your boy Ray Rock. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Till the next time, peace.
Hey.